Welcome back to the Hoops Temple podcast. Y'all know me, Nathan Schwartz. Joining me from New Zealand, Dylan Williamson. Dylan?
Good morning. I love how perfectly and seamlessly we can talk in real time before the recording starts, and then as soon as the recording starts, now we're woefully out of sync.
Oh, don't worry, it'll catch right back up. I believe in the powers of technology that is and is not controlled by something out in the universe. But Dylan, we get the basketball gods. They've graced us. We have a playoff of bracket mostly figured out. We have 4 series picked out. We have all 4 playing games set, or the initial 4 playing games set. I'm going to go ahead and just read 1 through 10 in each conference. We've got Cleveland, Boston, New York, Indiana, Milwaukee, Detroit, Orlando, Atlanta, Chicago, Miami. That's out east. In the West, we have the OKC Thunder, Houston Rockets, Lakers, Denver Nuggets. Clippers got that 5 seed. Minnesota Timberwolves at 6. Golden State, Memphis, Sacramento, and Dallas forming out our 20 of the 30 teams who are seeing a postseason game at least.
How exciting! It's been a topic of conversation that's recently rearisen as a minimum game sort of discrepancy to qualify for play-in. What do you think about that? Do you think we just keep it simple, keep it as it is, go 19, or do you think there should be a game cutoff like in the COVID days?
I think that there should be 2 game cutoffs. 1 game cutoff on the high end, where if you were a 7 seed and you won 50 games, which we've seen happen a number of times, if you're a 7 seed that gets 50, you don't have to participate in this. Like, you're good. And on the other side, I think if you're sub 40 wins, like if you're at 38 wins, yeah, I don't think you should get in as a 10 seed or a 9 seed. Like, just be 500. That is not that hard of a bar. Or like,
Okay, so you don't so you think that there should be a cutoff, but it shouldn't be a differential cutoff, not like the 9 seed won 3 fewer games than the 8, so we'll let them in, but they won, 8 fewer, then we won't let them in. You just want to games won.
yeah, yeah, because
50
like
you're in, less than 40 you're out.
yeah, if you had like a really strong 8 seed one year, that's like a 50 win 8 seed, and the 9 seed is a 45 win team. That's a 5 win difference, and you could say with like that differential of 5 wins, you shouldn't be competing for this. But like you had some injuries over the course of the year, a 45 win 9 seed, which I think back to the year where Phoenix was 48 or 49 wins as a 9 seed. Like, it happens, and that's a really good team that I would be okay with seeing in the playoffs or giving a play in contention to. What do we have out east? What are these standings finishing up as? Uh, yeah, Miami 37 wins. We don't need to have that in a play-in. Uh, Chicago 39 wins. Maybe they made a nice push at the end, but like, yeah, do I really care about these playing games in the East? Not really. And I think that's an excellent place to start then.
How about the 19 in the West? Do you care about them?
Not particularly. Where once again we have a sub 40 win team in the Dallas Mavericks going up against the Sacramento Kings. The Kings this year are perfect against Dallas. Also, they somewhat ended Dallas's season. They were the team that the Mavs played when Kyrie went down with an injury. So I guess knocking them out of the play-in could add insult to injury. And Anthony Davis has always struggled in games against Domantas Sabonis. Are you giving
Third team
the
All NBA.
according to Aaron, are you giving the Mavs any shot against the Kings, or what's your prediction here? What are your thoughts on this matchup?
I mean, the biggest thing for Dallas, I think, is that they're going to struggle to score.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have any shot creators on their team. Like Nico Harrison, I think, thinks that Anthony Davis is an offensive superstar, but he's a very much a dependent player. And so that's going to be tough. But then you flip that around, and you say, well, Sacramento actually don't have a great defense anyway, and so maybe that doesn't matter as much. But no, I do think that the Kings are going to win it because they are going to be able to create shots, and Dallas will not be able to create shots.
Yeah, I hate to oversimplify this thing, but Dallas is banged up. Dallas's offensive generation ran through Kyrie Irving, or would have run through Kyrie, who is not there. And while Anthony
Or
Davis
Luka
is
Doncic.
who is also not there, one by injury, one by crook. But there's just not much that they can do to put up a ton of points. It's against in Sacramento. And Sacramento, while they will try to be as bad defensively as possible, like they're gonna put up points. Let's see. Dallas's recent game against the Raptors, they put up 124 points. They did that with some outstanding 3-point shooting, going 15 for 34. The team shot 44% from deep. But like, I don't know. I don't entirely think that's going to be something you're going to count on. Brandon Williams coming in there, cashing some threes. Caleb Martin coming in there, cashing some threes. Dante Exum, like so on and so forth. It just it's going to take a hotter shooting night than I think they're going to have.
Unless we get the last drop of Klay Thompson playoff magic. Could this be the game?
I was so excited for the sidekicks, the Anthony Davis, the Klay Thompson, the Kyrie Irving, everyone who's orbited greatness, but maybe is not like the individual greatness themselves. And I do say this as someone that has Anthony Davis as a top 50-ish player. Kyrie, close to 90 all time. Klay Thompson, 125-ish all time. Like these are great players, but they've never been the straw that stirs the drink, as we always say. So. But
yeah, and even Spencer Dinwiddie is like the Kyrie Irving of role players. Like it always seems to be paired with these superstars.
Except for his Brooklyn years, but like,
yeah, I guess
I'm not too excited.
You're right. Yeah,
slightly
D'Angelo
more
Russell
exciting.
Wasn't that guy.
The other game in Mount West might be slightly more exciting. We've got the Golden State Warriors versus the Memphis Grizzlies. If I put the over/under at 1.5 players getting ejected and or suspended after the game, what is your? Are you taking that bet?
No, I'll go under. I feel like Golden State doesn't have that many guys outside of Draymond, and then Draymond gets a very long leash from the referees in terms of what they'll allow from him. And so I don't think that they all throw him out in a playing game.
You don't think that there's gonna be some Memphis guys that might get tossed? This is both sides. I'm just saying here, these teams have had bad blood, a bit of animosity towards each other. I don't. Maybe the stakes just aren't high enough because if they lose, they still get another shot at this. But they don't like each other. Curry dropped 50 on Memphis last time they played. So there's some just added fuel to this fire.
Yeah, and I mean the you say they don't have that much to play for because you still get a pretty decent chance of getting in. You got to beat the winner of Kings Dallas, but playing the 2 seed versus playing the 1 seed, I think is a big difference. So coming into today, even though obviously I'd rather avoid the play-in just because you minimize your risk of losing 1 game in your or 2 games in your season being over. But I did kind of wonder, like, maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing if we lose and then we get 7 and then win the play-in and get to play the Rockets instead of, Denver or OKC.
And you're speaking as a Clippers fan there.
As a Clippers fan, from a Clippers perspective, yeah. Then from the perspective of the Warriors and the Grizzlies, I think you really want that 7. You don't want the 8. OKC first round is brutal.
Yeah. Plus, if you're Golden State, if you can get 7 and you can beat Houston and the Lakers can go on the run, we can get another Curry LeBron series. Because we just need first round wins for the Lakers and the Warriors. Just what the NBA has scripted.
There we go. That's why they gave James Harden all those 3-point fouls in this game.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I mean like you were saying earlier, we can never seem to get Clippers Lakers finals. And once again, they're on opposite sides of the bracket, so we can't this year either unless they both make the conference finals. But Lakers Warriors second round, that does sound exciting.
Is there a team, Memphis or Golden State, that you give a better shot at beating Houston?
Like, which one of them matches up better?
Yeah.
It's a good question, actually. I think maybe that is interesting. I haven't really thought about it. Who do you think?
So I think Golden State is going to be less intimidated by Houston's like rugged defenders, Amin Thompson chasing around Steph Curry, Dylan Brooks roughing up Jimmy Butler. I do think it would be a really intense series, is just from a personality and conflict standpoint. I would prefer to see Memphis play Houston from a originality standpoint, like two teams that haven't really matched up against each other or with stakes. Also, like the amount of young, exciting players. You'll have Jaren Jackson Jr. trying to defend Şengün, Jabari Smith probably cross matching against him, Ja Morant, and getting to attack and go against Amin Thompson. I think that would be a lot of fun. But I think Golden State would have a better chance of upsetting Houston.
Although the last time that we saw Golden State play Houston, what did Curry have, like 2 points or some shit?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Thompson totally took him right out of the game. And so maybe from a you say they've got a very good you say they've got a very good and experienced coach who should be able to figure out ways to get his best team the ball, with the benefit of being able to scout for an entire series and make adjustments game to game. But no, I think that Golden State would probably struggle to create offense against Houston, maybe more than what the Grizzlies do. Like Amin on Curry, Dylan Brooks on Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler also, I know you said that you didn't catch the end of that Clippers game. Jimmy Butler had to sub out. He hurt himself in a collision with Kawhi Leonard, and so there is like a chance that he
may not be ready.
He could miss the playing game. Like, hopefully it's just like a sort of contact injury, one of those knee to the thigh sort of things that hurt really bad at the time, and then don't leave any lingering effects. But he was limping badly and had to sub out, so there is a chance that he may not be available. And then he has relied a lot really throughout his career, but even more as he's gotten old. He's actually not a great finisher. He's not a great shooter. And he's really able to pad his stats by drawing free throws. And I wonder whether he'd be able to do that against some of the intelligent defenders that Houston have. Although they do foul a fair amount. It's sort of their weakest point from a really good offense, really good defense, rather. They are only 12th on the league in terms of opponent free throw rate, where one is the team that fouls the least. And so maybe Jimmy could still get something going.
Yeah, I do kind of worry about some of the cross matchups. Listen, I know Draymond Green is a fantastic defender. We're pushing the top 20 playoff players to next week. He will probably be on that list. But the Şengün matchup, it's a big body. The Warriors, while they usually have beaten Denver and Jokic over the last several years when they matched up against them in the playoffs, like, Jokic gets his numbers against Green. As a big who can pass, that's not always looking to score, like, that's kind of hard for Green to match up against, because you got to body him and play physically against him the whole time. But then that guy's not necessarily always looking to score. He's trying to dump it off. So if I had my way, Memphis comes out of this game and we get a Golden State OKC matchup because there's something that I just love about a young team going up against a former champion, like on their path to the finals. Like that, I feel like you need to do that. You need to beat someone with a championship to claim a championship. So like if they could knock off Golden State, that would be just the perfect way for them to start their playoff run in my mind.
Yeah, and then like likewise, the way that you can overcome a talent disadvantage, which obviously anyone would have again in a first round series against OKC, is you can have the advantage of experience. The Warriors have obviously, and their core guys have played a lot of playoff games, and OKC have played approximately zero, and so with their between their core playing together, and so like that is one way that they could maybe overcome the talent disadvantage.
Yeah. Well, since the West play-in is set, what are your predictions here? Who's winning Golden State, Memphis, and who's ultimately coming out in the 7th and 8th seeds?
I'll probably take I guess the chalk. Golden State win 7, and then the Grizzlies win in the second play-in.
I'm gonna flip it. I'm going with my heart here. Curry just dropped a 52-pointer on Memphis. They played excellent defense against him in prior games. I think they're going to take this to heart. I think Memphis is going to come through, get the upset here, get that 7th seed, and I do think Golden State's going to beat whoever comes out of Sacramento or Dallas. It's probably Sacramento. Sorry, Kings. Memphis or Golden State will once again end your season, but it's okay. On to the 4-5, the matchup that you've been excited for, that you've always wanted, your dream matchup, Jokic versus James Harden, your two favorite players of all time. How are you feeling?
Probably two fairly evenly matched teams. If we look at what did they shake out at in terms of net rating, let's have a look. Yeah, Clippers 8 at plus 4.6, Denver plus 4.2, 50 wins apiece. I think the Clippers having, if we can get, James Harden was really good in this playing game. He had almost every single point in the overtime period. The game went through interesting stretches where the Clippers couldn't do anything when Zubats wasn't in the game. They got demolished whenever he would go out. And so Zubats was carrying early, and then they started going to Kawhi, and then Kawhi was carrying. And then the Warriors put Draymond on Kawhi, and he did a really good job of just not letting him get to a spot. And so then they had to flip it around and then go to James Harden, who was able to deliver. And I feel like having those multiple bites at the apple of a guy that can carry you through a game, whereas Denver have, I mean, probably just one. That could be an advantage for the Clippers, but obviously you're going up against the best player in the world, and so the history of playoff series is that the best player on the floor takes those games.
Any concerns with the Russell Westbrook revenge series?
I mean, not really. I mean, we're a pretty tough matchup for us, just in terms of he can't finish against good rim protection, and he can't do anything outside of the arc, and so I don't think that he's going to be a major offensive factor. He did play well defensively when we last played the Nuggets, when the Clippers last played the Nuggets. And so like they do at least have that like maybe he's a guy that can make James Harden's life difficult, and we've seen James Harden sort of fall apart under similar circumstances before. But offensively, I welcome the 3 for 17 Russell Westbrook game. It's a great out for any team that's playing him. And maybe if we are able to keep it close, maybe he'll miss a layup with 20 seconds remaining, up one, and then fail a 3-point shooter. And so there's always that possibility with Russ.
Man, that's the game. That's the game that prevented us from having a Lakers Clippers chance at a 6 seed. Because if the Timberwolves had lost that and Golden State had beat the Clippers, I think that's how we end up with the Clippers at 6 and a Lakers Clippers 6. Damn you, Wes. Westbrook.
If the Nuggets had won that, then I think they're 3 though, and so
well,
if
they have
like
won
4,
that,
5.
maybe the Lakers don't need to or don't rest all their guys today. It's just a cascade of events.
True. Yeah.
But I really like this matchup for the Clippers, and I say this as someone who picked the Nuggets in our wins draft because I think Zubac is a really good candidate to defend Jokic during his time on the floor. I do worry about what happens when Zoo is off the floor or if he gets in foul trouble because Ben Simmons and Derek Jones Jr. are not exactly the right type of guys to really be defending Jokic. Any fears about that?
You wonder whether they'll go to they'll dust off Drew Eubanks just to get a bigger body out there, or the other way you can play it, which certain teams have had great success with, is that your center, your rim protector, is actually guarding Aaron Gordon or Russell Westbrook if he's in the game, and then you have your next biggest guy guard Jokic. And that may be, it's Kawhi that's got to draw that primary assignment to keep Zoo free to roam. Kawhi's obviously a pretty strong guy, even if he's given up a few inches and a few pounds. And then the quick hands to make those
Kawhi on Jokic, though?
Make those reads more difficult. Look, if that's what it if that's what it takes. I mean, I think that the formula has been set for how you beat the Nuggets, and it's making sure that you've got secondary rim protection. And Kawhi isn't really great at that at this point. Maybe this is a series for Nico Batum as well. He's been the primary assignment on Jokic in a lot of games recently, and does a good job because he is hard to move and he's a very intelligent defender. And he's also a guy who can provide some secondary rim protection. And so if it is Zubac as the primary assignment, then Batum could be that guy. So I think it's an important series. He could be an important player in this series as well.
Hear me out. James Harden. Thick enough body that Jokic isn't just going to push him around. And no one's really stopping Jokic. Might as well just put a bad defender on him and say, all right, Jokic, try to score more. We're gonna focus on taking everyone else away. Take away your passing lanes.
Yeah, no. And James has been asked to do a lot on defense this season. He's when we last played the Suns, he was the primary defender on Kevin Durant. This Warriors game, he was the primary defender on Jimmy Butler. And so they are asking more of him defensively, and he's having probably the best defensive season of his career at 35 years old or whatever he is. And so that could be the answer. The thing that he does most poorly is just that he will not under any circumstances ever get over a screen. And so the only way Jokic is probably going to receive a screen is in an inverted pick and roll where that switch is maybe not so bad. If you're going Kawhi on Jamal Murray and Harden on Jokic, then that is one that you actually can switch.
Yeah. And I said that all somewhat facetiously, but Harden's post defense numbers, his defense numbers in post up situations have been good for the last, 5-6 years. He's been his
whole career. He's one of these defenders where there are certain guys who are lazy unless you make an effort to directly engage them. So there are a lot of guys around the league that will do this. LeBron is a great example where if you put him in pick and roll, he's not gonna no chance he's ever gonna fight through the screen. It's just an instant switch at the smallest point of contact. He's maybe not gonna do so much. Cutting, intercepting cutters, that sort of thing. But if it's like one on one and you're just like banging into him, like he's a strong guy, he's going to be able to stand
Yeah.
there. He's not just going to give up right away.
Yeah.
Or even if you like do try to go at him one on one in ISO and he's got one read to make, then he actually can lock in defensively.
And Harden is slower. Harden is thick and slow. It's like if you're playing him at point guard and playing him against a Ja Morant type,
Yeah.
Ja's going to
Then he's
speed
cooked.
burst past him. But like if you play him at power forward on defense or center and have him draw the big guy where that is the matchup of a back you down, like, yeah, Harden's got this. Or maybe not got this, but like, I don't want to oversell Harden as a defensive player.
Yeah, he's got something. Wouldn't it be
Yeah.
hilarious if the Clippers win this series and the story of the series is James Harden as the Jokic stopper? That is like a headline, just seems too improbable that I'm now out on the idea after being able to allow myself to be talked into this over the last few minutes. James Harden as the defensive solution to the best player in the NBA, one of the best offensive players of all time. It just seems too improbable. Oh, and also Jokic, he locked in averaging a triple double, so now we have to give him MVP as well.
I mean, I was already there. I don't know what you and Aaron were talking about when to give this to Shea, but yeah. So what's the final pick here? Are we taking Clipper or are we taking Nuggets?
I think Clippers. I'll take them because they have, I think, an obvious coaching advantage. One of the arguably the best playoff coach, or at very least the top handful, against a guy who has coached like 2 NBA games in his career, and so coaching advantage, and then just the bites at the apple idea that like if the Nuggets win, it has to be Jokic. If the Clippers win, it could be Zubats, it could be James Harden, it could be Kawhi Leonard.
I thought Dave Adelman got some shot in Minnesota. Was he always just an assistant? Maybe he was always just an assistant. I thought there was a time where he had like a short stint as an interim coach.
Yeah, maybe he's been an interim before.
No, it was the Saunders kid. It was the Saunders.
Yeah.
You know,
different second generation coach.
That's when you know you're old, is when you kind of feel a little bit old when it's like, oh hey, I've watched LeBron my whole life and now Bronny is in the league. You're like, for me, it's not just like players that sons are in the league. It's like these coaches who I've watched grow old and die. Their sons are now like coaching, and I'm like, what is this? Their sons are, I mean, older than I am, but still relatively young men. I do think with that coaching change, as much as I've seen good reports about Adelman, and I loved his dad's coaching. I thought his dad was one of the most underrated coaches in league history. And I believe they won today, correct? Yes, they beat Houston. So Adelman's undefeated. I don't know if that should scare you, but he's never lost a game. He doesn't know how.
That is true. 100% win ratio.
100% win ratio. Never lost a game. But I do just think that coaching shift does signal to me that Denver is not in a good place headspace wise. And if we just look at over the last month, not counting today's games, because today's games were fluky and everyone rested everybody basically. I mean, have you seen the leading scorers for today?
Like no, I only paid attention to one game. But yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. It's a rough look at top players. But over the last month, not counting today, so from March 12th to April 12th, look, the Clippers have the best net rating with a plus 16 point differential per 100 possessions. Denver, while on the year these teams are very close, Denver's a negative 1.1. Sure, they've been good the last couple of games. It's also kind of deep April basketball. But I think I have to go with the Clippers here. And I think I'm going to take the Clippers in 6, finishing things out at home.
I like it. I appreciate it, and I think it's a intelligent and well-informed pick as well.
I do hate this because I have Denver in my
Yeah.
in our wins pool draft, but I'm feeling so
Mm.
good about my wins pool selections. OKC, Denver, Houston, Indiana, Minnesota, and Orlando. Like I
Wouldn't that be
skipped that win
incredible if they all lose in the first round?
there. I was looking at it, and I was like, there's a chance that all of these teams could win. Maybe not Orlando, but I get the play-in victory from Orlando. So 5 playoff teams. Freaking Aaron over here with his Memphis, Atlanta, Chicago. Good luck with that. I did have you down for Dallas. I let you switch that around. If you really want Sacramento, I can give you back Sacramento, but
No, let's rock with it.
all right. Lakers, Minnesota. Is this the perfect matchup for the Lakers or the worst matchup for the Lakers?
And it's also the two teams who have the biggest difference between their expected wins and their actual wins. And so the Lakers are the team that has outperformed their point differential by the most. In fact, let me bring it up and make sure that that is even still true. While the Timberwolves are one of the biggest underperformers, which is either comes down to luck or your ability to close out close games.
I believe for both teams, it was their ability to close out close games, where Minnesota was just horrid in the clutch all season, and the Lakers, a team with LeBron James and now Luka Doncic, did fantastic in close games. Who would have thought that those guys could close games well?
So Minnesota, with a 49 win record, has the point differential of a 54 win team. The Lakers, with a 50 win record, have the point differential of a 45 win team. So both have swung about 5 games differential by essentially losing close games.
Mm-hmm.
Which you could see from 2 different perspectives. I think you can make an argument either way that that is good for either team. You say, well, the playoffs are normally close games, and the Lakers have thoroughly outperformed the Timberwolves in close games, and so that's a big advantage that if they're able to keep it close, that they'll take all of these games. And the other perspective that you can say is the Lakers have been over their head. They're winning games beyond what their actual team quality is, whereas the Timberwolves are a better team than what they've shown. And so the Timberwolves should actually be the favorite as the team with the better point differential. And that could play out as we see this phenomenon occur.
Here's the thing. If you're losing games you should win, you're a loser. If you're winning games you shouldn't win, you're a winner because you won those games. If you can dig deep, and pull out victories when you shouldn't, you're a winner. And if you lose the games that should be layups, should be cupcakes, should be right there for the taking, you're the Detroit Lions. And they have historically not been winners. So I feel very good about the Lakers' chances against Minnesota. I've been trying to figure out how I felt about Rudy Gobert going into this series because the Lakers have no rim protection, no defense. And it's against a true good center. Jackson Hayes is fine. And I guess I'm just not scared about Rudy Gobert. And I feel like Luka's going to have a really fun time cooking him like we saw last year in the playoffs. And I'm just starting to feel like this is a gift from Adam Silver to line up the Lakers and the Timberwolves as such an easy matchup for the Lakers. This is like what we could dream of. Oh, LeBron has to be defended by Julius Randle? Great. He's run him out of LA before. He can run him out of there again.
I do feel like though, Gobert in that series, as he has been throughout his entire career in every series and in every game, the extent of his inability to guard on the perimeter is overstated. Like, yes, he got cooked in that one great final shot, but Luka can cook a lot of different guys, and 99% of centers wouldn't have even gotten that close to, wouldn't have stuck with him that long enough to even be embarrassed. And so I do feel like, even though maybe compared to Bam or Draymond Green, Rudy Gobert is not a great perimeter defender. Compared to every other center in the league, I think he is well above average. And I think the extent to which he has been exposed in previous series is overstated.
I would say that the bigger problem with his defense on the perimeter is that he helps out a little bit too much. So if LeBron gets past Randall, Gobert's going to crash and come to help. And it's his recovery back out to the perimeter that I think is his bigger problem, where if LeBron gets in there and he comes over to help and the ball gets kicked out, he's not recovering out fast to his man or to any man as the ball starts to swing around the perimeter. And that leads to more open 3-point shots. And that's been my big pushback against of late on TikTok, pushing back against the rim protection above all else. It's like, well, a lot of rim protection also means open threes. And as we continue to rely more and more on open threes, or just threes in general, sacrificing it's a bad state in basketball where you'd rather give up a layup than a 3-point shot, but we're seeing it more and more. That's just can be Minnesota's Achilles heel. Or Gobert's defense.
Yeah, and that is a valid point. That the thing that ended those great Utah Jazz teams was Terrence Mann being left wide open and hitting a bunch of threes, as Rudy Gobert kept coming off of him to help put out the fires that all of his other teammates had caused defensively. And so I wonder whether the Lakers have, do they have a 5-man unit where they have 5 good players that they want to play together that can all shoot?
Yeah, it's LeBron, Dorian Finney-Smith, Rui Hachimura, Reeves, and Luka.
Yeah, and that's probably the closing lineup, regardless of whether or not they're going against a Rudy Gobert team. And so that then becomes can Dorian Finney-Smith hit wide open corner threes? There's a decent probability of that, and that does make it a difficult defensive assignment, especially when you've got Luka, who is so good at beating the primary defender that you need to bring help.
And that's the thing. So much of basketball now is, can you get the defense in rotation, and then can you capitalize on the rotation? And the Lakers are still not a great 3-point shooting team. I mean, Luka, Austin, and LeBron are all below 38%. They're all right at 38%, which is good, but not great. But then Rui and Dorian are both at 40% with the Lakers. And so you get those 3 stirring in the pot up and kicking to the other 2, and it's going to be fine. And the other thing is that Minnesota, one of the ways they found to be successful with Julius Randle is kind of downshifting. I mean, it's him and Nas, but trying to play Randle a little bit more at the 5 or a little bit more as the big man with Nas out in the perimeter, or to open things up. And that's just small enough that I'm not scared of that lineup with Rui and LeBron and Dorian. If you're not going to come at me with a big center, I'd be more scared of Zoo. I'd be more scared of Jokic. I mean, everyone's more scared of Jokic, but Zoo, Jokic, Şengün, Minnesota not having an offensive center like that, just great, puts me at ease. And then they're not as good at small ball as a Golden State. So I think they're the perfect team for the Lakers to go up against. And I'm picking the Lakers in 5.
I think that you have convinced me. I do think actually that it is a hard matchup. And especially the way that the Lakers have been able to succeed so much defensively is basically even, contrary to the point that you were making earlier, is basically like leading shooters and crashing everything, not allowing any paint touches. And against Gobert, against Julius Randle, like Jaden McDaniels can make shots, but he doesn't really like to take them. He's just not a high volume shooter. I do think that this is probably a opportune matchup for the Lakers' defensive system.
Yeah, and to beat the Lakers, we're either going to need Dante DiVincenzo or Anthony Edwards to have Steph Curry be like series, and I believe in Edwards doing that. He's been doing amazing from three all year, close to 40% on 10 attempts a game. But I think we can survive one of them doing it. It's if both of them, if you get a Clay and Curry type of shooting from them. And I just, sorry, Dante, I'm doubting you a little bit. So what's your final pick? What's your game count?
We'll go Lakers in 5. Yeah.
Okay. Ready for the East?
Let's go.
Chicago, Miami, 9-10.
Oh my!
The Bulls are 3-0 against the Heat. The last game they played each other was April 9th, with the Bulls winning by 8 points. Miami, of course, basically said screw it after trading Jimmy, losing 10 straight. Is there any reason to think that Miami, led by the combined prowesses of Andrew Wiggins, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, could pull off the massive upset that is the Chicago Bulls?
2 reasons. They have the better coach, and also they have the best player in the series. And so single game that can sometimes be enough.
Yeah. Their overall numbers actually are not that different if you just look at the last month. Chicago has a net differential of 5.6. Miami has 4.6. They're 9-10 the last month on that, which is really impressive considering how bad Miami was immediately after the Butler trade. But like, if we're talking about who is the best players in this series, I think Bam is the best. I think you make a case that Tyler Hero is the second best. Josh Giddey played fantastic down the stretch, but there was also a lot of bad teams in there where, like, I think some of those numbers are inflated, and I think people who look at Giddey's March stats, as some people are prone to do, are going to be really sad next year when he does not put up close to those numbers for a full year. But I still just think this is Chicago, right? Like, Miami's dead. Miami doesn't want to be here. Miami doesn't want to go on to the playoffs unless they get their ass kicked. They're ready for vacation. They're in South Beach.
Yeah, Miami is thinking Cancun in 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like does that make a difference? One team actually wants it. The Chicago Bulls, and not to mention that the Chicago Bulls are other than the Sacramento Kings, they are the Kings East. They are the consummate play-in team. Like if there's a team that's shooting for the play-in, it's them.
I think the Kings are just Bulls West at this point, having taken DeMar and Zach LaVine at this point. I mean, I'm taking Chicago, but I'm not taking either of these teams over Orlando or Atlanta. Those two, 2-2 against each other. They did play today where Atlanta evened up the season series. But I actually I'm excited for that game. And this is a Tuesday night big game here. So you've got Orlando, who's just been murdered by injuries all season long. Paulo, Franz, Jalen Suggs, Mo Wagner is out for the year.
They're starting Corey Joseph. Did you even know he's still in the league?
Yes, because I did a Orlando Magic preseason pod with my guy Carlos, and he was very excited about having Corey Joseph because it's another guy with championship experience on the roster. Him and KCP in the backcourt. It's what you need.
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to defend Trae Young as like a heliocentric offense, KCP and Corey Joseph as a backcourt, maybe not that bad.
And for Atlanta, they've had some sizable shifts in their roster this season, both in like trading out DeAndre Hunter, but also in the guys that they're playing. With Jalen Johnson getting injured, they've been playing Mohamed Gay more. Okonwu took over the starting spot. I think him and Gay actually work really well as a combo 4 or 5 because of a little bit more spacing, a little bit more rim protection. Gay's got more size to kind of help be that center and allow Okonwu to be more of the 4 and be that more versatile, switchable defender. I kind of like their ability in this game. I'm also kind of just trying to figure out a way for Orlando to play Cleveland and not Boston. Also, Atlanta started the season off really good against Boston. Now, they don't have Jalen Johnson. I don't think they would do nearly as good against Boston as they did during the in-season tournament times where they were picking off wins against Boston and Cleveland right and left. But do you have a favorite in this game, or do you have a favorite to go against Boston?
I think I actually don't think either one of these teams will have anything for Boston. I think it's a sweep no matter what.
Really?
Yeah, like what's?
Yeah. No. I mean, I get it. I'm just kind of hoping for like either Trae Young explosion or Apollo.
Yeah. But like Paolo explosion against like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, or Trae Young against Derek White and Drew Holiday, like
Yeah.
And then they have to get stops on the other end as well. Like at least it has there's the potential of it being interesting, right? Like there's a world in which it's not a 20-point blowout every night and then 4 games.
Yeah, for me, I would my win pool wise, I want to see Orlando go against Cleveland, but Orlando going up against Boston, giving Franz and Paolo some reps in the playoffs against Jalen and Jason, I think that could be really good for their long-term development and just Orlando's projection as a team to try and get to contender status in the next few years. And just go up against the best guys, go up against those guys in your kind of positions that you have to go through at some point. Get reps against them.
Yeah, no, I like that idea.
Are you taking one versus the other?
And so then I guess I've got to, oh man, that's so ugly. I guess I'll take Atlanta. Yeah.
Fair. I'm gonna take Orlando. I think the Magic could have been. I mean, that's the dumbest thing I could say. The Magic, of course, could have been a much better team if they didn't have all of these injuries.
No,
yeah.
You've convinced me. Let's go Orlando.
The one thing that the Magic have done incredibly well all season long, and I was checking these pre and post Jalen Suggs numbers, is they don't give up open threes. Like the NBA.com's wide open 3-point stats, not having a defender within 6 feet of the shooter. Teams are giving up like 14 to 20 attempts just wide open to 3-point shooters. And the Magic are the absolute minimum of those attempts. And so much so that they're leading the league in fewest 3-point attempts given up to the opponent, which is kind of what you want against Boston. Like if you're going to have a team go up against Boston, chasing them off the 3-point line, actively pressuring those shooters, that's kind of the best case scenario.
Where are we? Yeah, and they're number 1 in the league overall at just not giving up 3-point shots, so they allow the fewest 3-pointers. So they're 35% of opponent shots come from 3, and most of those are then becoming mid ranges where they allow 33% of their opponent shots are not layups and not threes, which is one of the higher top 3 in the league.
There's 2 things on defense you got to really focus on: keep teams away from the rim and keeping teams off the 3-point line. And Orlando is the best in the league at keeping them off the 3-point line, and not too bad at keeping them off the rim. Like solid at that as well.
They're a little below average. So they're 19th in the league in terms of opponent rim frequency. But they are top 10 in opponent rim percentage, so like they're allowing a little more layups than what you might like, but they are contesting them well. With the likes of, the thin blue line down low.
They've got a lot of options to defend the rim. I mean, Goga Batadze, they had Mo Wagner earlier in the season, and Wendell Carter, Isaac, Jonathan Isaac, and Paulo. Paulo was contesting 5 or 6 big shots at the rim. So like they kind of do it by committee as opposed to one great guy at this point.
Yeah. It's system defense.
Do you give Chicago or Miami any chances against either Atlanta or Orlando?
Just because the universe is a cruel thing. I have no doubt that like Chicago's gonna win this game and just ruin my life. But I'm not going to pick it. But knowing my luck, I can totally see a world where, the guy who I think is the most overrated player in the NBA, Josh Giddey, has a triple double as he gets unusually hot and wins this game for Chicago.
I do kind of want the Bulls to make the playoffs because if the Bulls make the playoffs, it will be the 4th time since the Charlotte Bobcats became a franchise, 2004, and we moved to this 3 divisions in each conference, 5 teams per division setup, that all 5 teams from one division will have made the playoffs.
Oh.
Fun little tidbit there. The other 3 times we had, it was either 2022 or 2023. I think it was 23, where the 5 Pacific teams made it: Lakers, Suns, Clippers, Kings, and Golden State Warriors. We had 2016 where the Southwest Division all made it. The 3 Texas teams. It was the Pelicans and the Grizzlies. And we had 2006 where the Central Division once again all made it. Milwaukee, Detroit, Indiana, Chicago, and Cleveland. And if the Bulls make it, we would once again have the Central Division all making it. Should be really exciting.
And also just wonderful for the future of the Bulls to, of course, by making the playoffs, they secure that they are not a lottery team. And so for them to trade away their best players and go into a rebuild, for them to immediately then not get a lottery pick would just be the most Chicago Bulls thing ever, as they continue to chase the 10 seed every year.
Listen, there's a thing that you learn in kinesiology about the body wanting to stay the same. It's homeostasis, homeostaticness. Like your body doesn't want to change. That's the Chicago Bulls. They're just really homeostatic.
There we go. A new term enters the NBA lexicon: the homeostatic Chicago Bulls.
Well, moving to 2 other. We'll go one other Central team. We've got the Knicks versus the Detroit Pistons, the 3-6, where the Knicks are, despite being the high seed, they are 1-3 against the Pistons this year. The most recent game coming on April 10th, where the Pistons got the victory by 9 points. However, there was no OG and no Brunson. What are your thoughts about New York and Detroit?
It's the matchup that everyone wanted. This is the one first round matchup where it's like, yes, this needed to happen. This was meant to be. And like the matchups are quite interesting. Both teams have not played well against other good teams. So the Knicks, even though they do have a very good record, the Knicks are a -5 net rating for 6-16 against teams with a top 10 net rating. And the team that's right after them is Detroit at 8-18, a -5.7 net rating. And so if there's one thing that you can say about the Knicks is that they beat up on bad teams, whereas against good teams, they don't tend to shine quite as much. And obviously the Pistons are a team that's going to make everything very difficult.
They also share a recent trade history where Jalen Duren was traded as a draft pick from the Knicks for 2 future picks, one being the Milwaukee Bucks 2025 pick, and the other one being the Pistons pick, which was heavily protected and was basically like, unless the Pistons made the playoffs, the Knicks would never get it. So Pistons making the playoffs means the Knicks are finally getting the Pistons pick this year. My big thought on the matchup is, can Karl Anthony Towns stand up to the pressure of the Pistons attack in the paint? Because Detroit likes to attack the rim. They go hard, they go strong. Jalen Duren, while he is not he's not a post moves guy. He's not a Kevin McHale by any means, but he is a rim runner. He is more in that DeAndre Jordan mode, and that could put a lot of pressure on Cat to run the floor, to get back on defense, and to try to protect the rim. I think we could be seeing some Cat foul trouble here.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point, and it's fortunate for the Knicks that they've got Mitchell Robinson back, because absolutely the going up against a team that does so much damage inside the arc. Having one of the worst rim protectors in the league is not a good foil for that. And so yeah, foul trouble I think for Cat is a very reasonable possibility. And so it's fortunate that the Knicks have got Mitchell Robinson back, who actually is a good rim protector, and is also a very good rebounder.
I've been surprised. Tibbs has not done as much Cat and Mitchell Robinson and play in recent games of late. I would have liked to have seen them try to deploy that a bit more, get more used to that, because there was great success in Minnesota with it. Having Cat and Gobert together, I thought you could see more of that, but he's been more apt to stagger the two.
Yeah,
of course,
and it's interesting that he's been primarily a defensive-minded coach throughout his entire career, really. And his one principle that he was not willing to give up on at any point that led to him starting, the likes of Jericho Sims over better players is just that he refused to ever be without rim protection. And now he's leaned the exact opposite way, where he has gone to Cat at center and almost exclusively there, even though he is probably one of the worst rim protecting centers in the league.
Mm-hmm. I do think at least the Knicks have a significant advantage being able to deploy either OG or Mikal Bridges against Cade. I think they both could serve time on him and really bother him. Cade is a bigger, stronger point guard that does like to use his size to his advantage, and that helps a lot against smaller defenders. I mean, I went to the Pistons Nuggets game not too long ago, and Christian Brown was not stopping Cade. He could put his shoulder on him and go through him. I don't think he do that to Bridges or to definitely not to OG.
Yeah. He's almost James Harden like, in that he uses the threat of his perimeter shooting to get that little step, and then uses his it's not his quickness but his strength, uses his body to create separation to get to the paint, and like that isn't really going to work so much against OG. And so it'd be interesting to see if they go that way, if he's able to come up with any counters that are suitable.
Any thoughts on the Pistons' depth maybe giving them an advantage? They do play a deep team. I mean, maybe that gets cut back a little bit in the playoffs, but
But I mean, even if it does get cut back and it does become 8 guys like the playoffs often does, at least they have like different types of player that they can go to fill whatever minutes and whatever role that they need. And so that is an advantage. And even like the other point that I've made before with the Knicks going so hard on playing their starters in the regular season is that the Pistons now have a level that they can elevate to by playing their starters more, whereas the Knicks are already at that level. And so there is like a catch-up effect that every other team except the Knicks gets to bring out. Maybe the Nuggets as well, who've played Jokic huge minutes recently.
I mean, the Pistons only have two players that are getting more than 30 minutes a night, and that's Cade and Tobias. Uh, Beasley's at 28. I didn't realize this, but they had 8 different guys average double figures for them this season. And part of that is
Nice.
because they got Dennis Schroeder late and Jaden Ivey got hurt early. So
Mm,
if both those guys played the whole year, maybe one of them does it and the other one doesn't. But like that's a super well balanced attack and gives them a ton of optionality. But I still just feel like the Knicks have a much better 5-man unit, and I don't think the Pistons have a great matchup to try to defend Brunson. I mean, that's what
mm.
Asar Thompson.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
probably
I
going to
mean,
be
it's
the primary.
yeah, it's two guys. It's either Asar or it is Dennis Schroeder. But those are maybe two guys that you don't want like playing heavy minutes in a playoff
Hmm.
series.
Yeah, I think it would be really good for Asar to get these reps, but I am nervous about him as a primary defender in his first playoffs going up against someone like Brunson, who's been under the bright lights before, who has have played really good, not just in New York, but the Dallas run to the conference finals a few years back, where Luka was hurt for a few games. That was Brunson doing the heavy lifting there. And so I do just worry about a player as young as Asar, who is maybe a little bit better in my mind guarding wings than true point guards. Like that could be a tough matchup.
Mm. Um, yeah, like the more I think about it, I think the more I actually like the Pistons.
Really?
Um, yeah, like the fact that they do have that ability to elevate in terms of minutes. The fact that they do have a few different options that they can throw at Brunson. I do think like Asar, he may get called for a few fouls, but I think that he could really make Brunson's life difficult. And Dennis Schroeder is a good defensive player as well. And maybe even if Cade wants to lock in, he
I was
he could
thinking
have
Ron
that option.
Holland.
Yeah, yeah. He might be like the likely guy to be cut from the rotation.
I would
Um,
assume he is, but if Asar gets in foul trouble, well, then I think Ron Holland could get back in there
mm,
and get some more minutes.
yeah, yeah. Um, and then like the fact that the Knicks are going to be playing without rim protection for most of the game. Um, I actually am liking the Pistons more and more. And then you add in the toughness factor, like um, if there's any team that I could see folding under that sort of pressure, and any team that could cause a team to fold under that sort of pressure, I think this is the right matchup for Detroit.
No one's out toughing Josh Hart.
Yeah, no,
All
maybe
right,
you're
what
right, and
what
he
should
could he'll be an important player too because the Pistons are so good at offensive rebounding,
Mhm.
and um, the fact that like Josh Hart is such a great defensive rebounder could be a good foil for that.
So what's your game's prediction?
Let's go 7, but we'll we'll stick with the Knicks. We'll take the better player, the better team, but in 7.
I think I'm going to also take the Knicks in less games, either 5 or 6. I love Detroit. I love what they've been able to do.
Yeah.
I'm a Michigander through and through, but like I think it's been a magical enough season without the first round upset. If you get the first round upset, holy cow, let's throw a parade. Like this has been
Yeah.
going from the worst team, setting the loss record, or tripling the wins. Like absolutely amazing year. But when I'm trusting Dennis Schroeder, Malik Beasley, Tim
Mm,
Hardaway Jr., Tobias Harris in the playoffs, like
yeah. Actually, yeah, yeah. And then combine that with the fact that like um I think that the Knicks really can lock in defensively apart from um obviously Cat not being a good rim protector, and then the Pistons not having a great amount of creation
mhm.
outside of Cade. I could really see games where they just really can't get anything going offensively. And then for all of the great things that Jalen Duran does, locking down the paint is not one of them. And I think that he is not a great matchup for Brunson, who likes
Mhm.
to get into the paint. Um, and so yeah, I'll drop it back down to Knicks and 6. swinging all over the
Nice.
place.
Nice. That's why we have these conversations. We work through it. We figure it out. We also we could kind of guess what some of the matches were going to be, but so many of these matches were determined hours before we started recording this.
Minutes before we started recording.
Hours. Yeah, I was refreshing. I was like, so Clippers are now 5. Golden State's 7. Is there anything that has with Minnesota? No, okay. But we got one last series that we know written in stone. We've got the 4 seed Indiana Pacers versus the 5 seed Milwaukee Bucks, where the Bucks have actually won the season series 3-1, including the most recent game, March 15th, where Milwaukee won 126 to 119.
How are you feeling about this series?
I'm taking Milwaukee. I think Kuzma is ready.
It's the Kyle Kuzma series. Here we go.
It's the Kuzma series. Pat Connaughton just dropped a 40 piece. I think Giannis is locked in, ready for the playoffs. He, in recent games, before today, maybe it was before Friday's game, he had a 5-game stretch recently where it was 32 points, 10 assists, 13 boards. He is just on fire right now. He had a 20 assist game not too long ago. Well, I think Giannis is angry. He is upset. I think he's kind of said, fuck it with this Dame Lillard shit. We are here to play, and I don't Lillard can be my co-star. That's great. I'm not deferring. I'm not going out of my way. He can fit in. I am the superstar, and has just beast moded it up. And I'm kind of ready to just watch him tear through Indiana's paper thin defense.
An interesting stat that you would totally not expect, especially coming into the season. Milwaukee is actually the better offense, and Indiana is the better defense. Milwaukee is 7-16, and the Pacers are 10-13, and so who do I think could raise either of those ends the highest? I mean, I've got to hope that Milwaukee can figure something out on defense.
So Indiana, and I'll give them their props because this was their big trades last season, where they moved from being a heavy offense with playing Buddy Hield a lot to playing more Nesmith and Nembhard and bringing in Pascal. These are all defensive pluses. But those are all of the defensive players. And Ben Shepherd's fine. Benedict Mathurin is fine. You smash through that front line, and I think Pascal is going to have trouble with Giannis. I know he's historically been one of the better guys in his time in Toronto with their building of a wall. But I think him and Turner are going to struggle with this version of Giannis, this angry bull version of Giannis that's going to just tear straight through them and put them in foul trouble. And it's oh, great. Obi Toppin and Thomas Bryant are the backups here. I'm so bullish on this Giannis, and so bullish on what we've seen from Giannis in the mid-range, because he's become a really good mid-range scorer when it matters.
Yeah, and if you do try to, there's different ways you can try to defend Giannis. One of those is you put your center on him and have him give him plenty of space. Well, now he can get to that spot in the mid-range, rise up and make that shot with consistency.
And the last 2 years, the thing that has taken out Milwaukee has been Giannis injuries. I think if you're not counting on a Giannis injury, or if we don't have any indication that he's currently playing through an injury right now. So you're gonna have one Giannis game, that's a Bucks victory. You're gonna have one Damian Lillard game, that's a Bucks victory. Are you getting Tyrese Halliburton game? That's a Pacers victory. I don't know. I don't entirely think so. I think this is a bad matchup for Indiana, and these two teams have had some bad blood over the last couple of years with the in-season tournament and matchups. And then Giannis was a 50-piece his last year that Indiana took the game ball and wouldn't give it to him, and there was all this kerfuffle. Well, I don't see Indiana coming out of this on top.
Yeah. I do think that is a pretty bad matchup for the Bucks in terms of guarding Halliburton. Like they play a drop big and they don't have any great perimeter guard defenders.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll put Torian Prince on. It'll be fine.
I really don't think so. And so I do think that like this actually probably is the season that's primed for a Halliburton breakout offensively. Um, and I think it's just got to like come down to who can raise more defensively. Um, and like the Bucks have had seasons of being elite defensive team, being an elite defensive team, with Giannis and with Lopez. Um, but like I'm kind of like in Indiana here.
Give me,
The
give me the
the
case. Talk to me.
the the more I talk about it, matchup wise, like I think that they've been poor defensively all season, and now I think that they've got the worst case scenario in terms of a really good on ball guard who can create shots on the perimeter. And like Miles Turner has succeeded more offensively by going away from like the 3 and D center
Hmm.
by getting more into the post, doing more as a role man. But he is still a good 3-point shooter as far as the big goes. And Brook Lopez is not going to want to get out and defend on the perimeter. Um, and so like you've got a on ball guy who can't get over a screen and then a drop big. Like they could both be open at the top of the arc all game. And so I don't think that Milwaukee has the personnel to defend this team um, with the shooters that they have. And then, um, yeah, then it comes down to Giannis versus Halliburton. And I think that the Pacers options of Siakam and Turner are better, are going to do a better job at dealing with Giannis than whatever the Bucks can throw at Halliburton.
Torian Prince and Gary Clark Jr.
Yeah, like that's
So that's not doing it for you.
no.
Well, then,
um,
might I offer you a trade? I have the Pacers in our wins draft, and you have the Bucks in our wins draft.
oh, let's go. All right, let's do it. I'm picking Pacers and let's go Pacers in 7, and I'll accept your trade.
Bucks in 5.
Bucks in 5.
Bucks in
Let's
5.
go.
This is a Giannis bat out of hell. This is a man who has been desperate to reclaim his seat at the best player in basketball conversation, and I think he is ready to rip into them. Also, Milwaukee's been experimenting a bit more with Giannis at 5 and Kuzma at 4, and I think that does solve some of their switchability and ability to get out on the perimeter issues because Giannis doesn't have to play and drop as much, and they're just a faster lineup like that. And this is not even to mention, and some of their young guys who, you know, been I rode the Marshawn Beauchamp train forever, but that's they've got Andre Jackson Jr. who get out there, Aaron Chase. They've got so AJ Green who's been hitting threes. He's for him. They've got some options.
Yeah, they've got a few different options in terms of like the young player who has a decent regular season and then immediately becomes unplayable in the playoffs.
No, it's hey. You see what Pat Connaughton did today? He's ready. He's locked in. It's gonna be a great playoffs. Well, Dylan, any final takes on the games that we know or the situation that we have?
Yeah, I think we get some very fun series from these middle teams. The 1 and 2 matchups in either conference I don't think will be very interesting. Well, I guess like the 2 versus whichever team comes out of that could be interesting. But the 4-5, 3-6 in both conferences, I think, are really interesting matchups that could go have the potential of being long series and being series that could go either way.
And I will say in the West, I don't think OKC is going to be too hampered by whoever they see. But OKC, Golden State, whether it's a 5-game series or a 4-game series, like it will be a fun, however many game series it is. It will be well worth watching. And I don't know that a Cleveland Atlanta will be well worth watching.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, Nate. If the good folks listening want to get in touch, how can they do that?
Email us, hoopstemple@gmail.com. You can also find me, Nate_hoopstemple on TikTok. We'd love to hear from you.
And Nate, as a TikTok celebrity, I'm assuming that you ignore all of the people that are messaging you on TikTok.
No, I actually respond to most of them.
Oh my god!
So
if you've got thoughts, get in touch. Nate_hoopstemple on TikTok.
Yeah, just was really what most people message me about is I can't believe Aaron said this dumb thing. And like, well, you gotta take him to task for this.
You gotta talk some sense into that boy.
Aaron is a celebrity of status on that app that people don't always hear back from. So as someone with 1/3 of the following that he's got, I'm more approachable. So if you want to talk shit to Aaron, you send it to me, and I'll be like, yeah, no, I'll give him hell about that. Give him hell about saying
we're collecting a folder.
Giannis.
We're collecting a folder of Aaron bad takes that have had Nate receive complaints about, and then we're going to do a full episode of just calling out Aaron's worst takes that Nate's being harassed about.
We'll make sure that he's here for that.
Yeah, on an episode that he is available for.
Yeah. All right, it's done. I'll catch you later.
Catch ya.